Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. During the declared emergency, City Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. My name is Isaac Laluz, and I'll be chairing the hearing. Panel members participating today via WebEx and can be seen and heard are Ms. Atarodi, Ms. Sankar, Mr. Bartolo, and Mr. Klassen. City staff will be assisting us throughout the meeting, including moderating WebEx platform. And online here and in person, we have here Dan Antonacci, who is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Simon Lamb, who is the Senior Planner, Kelly Reid, Amir Nissan, and Chris Pereira. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentation to the committee using this said WebEx. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. These participants will be connecting by either their computer, a phone, tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered speaker will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. And please, for those waiting to speak, make sure you call with the telephone number you originally registered with. Calling with a different number, you will not be able to speak on the item. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances. Could you please, hello? Yeah, please. Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provision of the zoning bylaw that applies to property, permission to extend or alter legal non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must request it by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications by email only. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, known as TLAB, or in some limited circumstances, to a new tribunal called Ontario Lands Tribunal, OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure will be as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if required, and the committee may ask questions and or take the matter directly for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when the 5-minute mark is reached. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to receive a notice are informed of the changes. Then individuals in support or in opposition will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker at the end of their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has the chance to address only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will then be taken to committee for a decision. Now, before we start, we have here the you received the list of the schedule for 2022 hearings. That list must be approved as far as the schedule should be adopted. So I need an adoption to approve that schedule. Can I have a motion, Ms. Sankar? Second?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, motion to adopt the 2022 list of hearings.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. So the list of the schedule, staff, the list is now adopted, 2022 schedule. Now I don't have any deferral for this morning. Mr. Planner, any files to close? No, thank you. And members or staff, any conflict of interest to declare today for this morning's session? Thank you. So we'll proceed with application number 1, and that is 129 Burndale Avenue, application number 1. So we have here only one person registered, who's the agent. Oh no. Okay. Okay, the agent, Mr. Romano, are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Franco Romano here. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you please state your name and address for the record here?
Yes, sir. Franco Romano, Action Planning 295 Autumn Breeze and Port Credit.
Thank you. So we have here the consent and 2 variances, variance applications, 10 variances and 12 variances. The staff is recommending to refuse the application. The counselor supports also the staff for the refusal. And we have 5 letters of objection. Otherwise, the heritage and the forestry have only conditions. Now, I'll give you your 5 minutes. Could you please tell us what's the merit of your application?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd like to refer to my slides. I have a 3-page slide presentation. Once that's up, I can start going through the merits of the application.
Can you please start now to, I'll start again your 5 minutes. You can start, and by the time the staff will look for the sketches, okay? They'll look for the slides. In the meantime, you can start your presentation.
Okay, sir. Presentation slides are very important to what it is that I have to say, but I think I'll just start off a little backwards then. This is a property. It's located on the south side of Burndale Avenue. It's one of the larger lots in the neighborhood and on the street. The immediate context consists of a variety of lots, and certainly the prevailing condition is larger than what is being proposed, but the prevailing condition is not a uniform lot size. Prevailing condition includes a variety of lot sizes, and that includes lots that are 7.6 meters wide in frontage and 273 square meters in lot area. And those lots are immediately across the street from the subject site. So the actual immediate context for the subject site has lots that are smaller than what is existing for the subject site, but virtually identical to what is being proposed for the subject site. We're looking at this neighborhood in the street. There is certainly a mixture of lot sizes. 97% of the lots are smaller than the zoning bylaw base standard. That is a prevailing condition, and what is being proposed would fit, respect, and reinforce that prevailing condition. 33% are smaller than the base zoning requirement for lot frontage. My slides show that. You'll see on page 1 of my slide, everybody that is in purple is illustrative of I don't know what this slide is. So everything that is in purple or blue is smaller in lot area, smaller in, and those that are smaller in frontage are shown with a star. And the stars are all across Burndale Avenue, as well as on Elmhurst. Thank you kindly. That's slide number 1. So we'll see that certainly the proposal does not meet the majority of lot frontage and lot area, but that's not the test under the official plan. The test under the official plan is, does one respect and reinforce the physical character that exists? And the physical character that exists from a lot size perspective is smaller than the zoning bylaw. And there's a substantial representation of lots that are 7.6 meters and 273 square meters. And those are right across the street. You see those circled with the stars and the blue and the purple. We go to the next page, next slide. You'll see that on the next slide, the proposal has a conventional two-story detached, two-story with an integral garage, virtually identical to what you see at the top of the screen, which are properties that are across the street, and virtual and somewhat similar, but a little different because the ones at the bottom of that in that photograph, same on Burndale as well, have a below grade garage. So the proposal is not for a below grade garage, it's for an at and above grade garage. In the photograph that you see in the middle, it's a couple of properties to the east of the subject site. And you'll see that that has a garage with 2 levels of living above with the second floor built into the roof line. This is a wider lot, but it's still smaller than the zoning bylaw requirement. So what you see is a house that's a little wider, still occupies quite a bit of the width of the lot. So the variances that are being proposed, and you'll see this on page 3, are in keeping with what we see even on the subject site, the subject street, Burndale. Provided a summary of some of the more recent applications along Burndale, and that includes the severed lots across the street. I know there's some correspondence that says that there's been no severances within this neighborhood. Well, there are. They exist right on the street, and they're on Burndale Avenue. So I would submit, sir, it's what's being proposed here is respectful of the existing physical character, has no unacceptable adverse impact, and really contributes to what is occurring on the street in this portion of the neighborhood in a compatible manner. Subject to any questions, sir, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Members will be back for questions because we have a number of people registered to speak here. Anne Gaylord, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, could you please state your name and address for the records here?
Sure. My name is Anne Gaylord. I live at 126 Burndale, which is within the subject area that has been referred to by Mr. Romano.
It's okay.
I am a
Yeah, just a second. We wanted the address.
Okay.
Now, could you please tell us, I give you your time, could you tell us what's your concern about this application?
Okay. I believe that this application does not represent what is typical of the neighborhood. Most of the development that's occurred within the last 5 to 7 years has been on the existing larger lots, whether they're 40 or 50 feet wide. They have been larger homes. And if this particular applicant is successful, I am very concerned that this will set a precedent for additional development along my street and within the neighborhood, which will increase density, traffic, problems with water runoff, and et cetera, and that it does not fit the prevailing custom within the area at all. The 3 lots that he referred to earlier were severed many years ago, and they are not typical at all. That's it from me.
That's it. Thank you. Just a second, see if the members have any questions to this speaker. Any questions? No? Okay, the next speaker is Fiona Hui. Are you there?
Members, Fiona is not on the call. If she is calling in, she did not provide us with a phone number. So she will need to log in via her computer so I can see her name because I do not have a phone number registered. So we'll move on to the next name and see if that comes up.
Let us know if she comes back. Thank you. The next one is Thompson Plant. Are you there? Thompson
Yeah,
Plant.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Could you please tell us your name and your address for the records?
My name is Tamsin Plant. I live at 121 Burndale.
Okay, and tell us please what's your concern about the application you just heard before?
I actually, I was listening to Anne's objections to the or concerns, and she's pretty well said everything. I've lived here for 55 years, and I saw all of the building going up across the road, and she's right. These severed properties happened years ago, and these new ones are considerably smaller than a lot of the lots, the majority of the lots. So other than all of the points that Anne raised, that's about all I can say. I completely disagree with all of with severing those lots
Okay,
for those reasons.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So you agree with Anne Gaylord? What
Oh,
she
yes,
said?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Members,
Thank you.
any questions to the speaker? So we'll see if the other speaker is on. Fiona, oui. No, she's not on, huh? Okay, so we'll get back Mr. Romano. Mr. Romano, could you please come back and answer those questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the houses across the street, you'll see that they're brand new construction. Regardless of when they were created, those lots are occupied by houses that are strikingly similar to what is being proposed, and there is not being a rush to sever within this neighborhood. So one of the things under the official plan is that development is to be gradual and sensitive. And those lots that were across the street, yes, they were severed several years ago, but in the interim, there has not been a precedent-setting nature with respect to those lots. They have not upset the physical character of the neighborhood. They've actually contributed to it in a compatible, respectful manner, and the lot sizes are different, as are many other lots, as I've shown in my graphic on the street. So this is a street and a neighborhood that can accept this type of development and not have a rush for development pressure for other severances to occur, because that the case study is right across the street. And the proposal has a lot size that is one of the larger lots that cannot be replicated that easily within this neighborhood. So I don't believe that there would be a precedent issue. And of course, there's no impact from the two houses that are quite conventional with the lot coverage that's modest and in keeping with even the larger houses that are being constructed on within the neighborhood. Subject to any questions, sir, I'm happy to assist.
Thank you. Members, any question to this, to the agent? No? If there is no questions, then I need a motion. So, can anyone have a motion here? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I did drive by the street, so this is a case where obviously there are 2 points of view, and I'm going to be swayed by the staff report, so I'll move to reject the application. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So we're considering the consent and the variances en bloc. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Klassen to refuse, second. Can I have second? Ms. Atarodi, second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, 2 opposing. All right, so generally, there is some information that helps the decision, and in this case, I can't see any reason to touch to it. We have a consent with the small lots. We have 10 variances and 12 variances per each application. Then the staff is not in concert with it. The counselor also supports the refusal, and I don't see any way out of it. So I'll vote with the motion to refuse the application. So, sir, your application is refused, and you can follow your appeal, whatever. So we have the second application, number 2, which is application number 2, 16 Kinray Road, Part A. And we have here to the agent was not listed here. Do you know we have an agent here? Well, it said agent, it didn't say who. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Nafishe Zandiabi.
Hello?
Yeah, okay. Nafishe Zandiabi. Could you please repeat your name and address for us?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nafisa Zangiabadi, representing the owner. Address is 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill, L3T3B6.
Thank you. We have here a new dwelling with 4 variances. There is a forestry and there is nothing else. Members, do we need a presentation here? Yes, no? No, we don't need presentation. Okay, we don't need a presentation here. And could you, do you want to say something before we move to a decision, or we just move on?
No, I just want to say that we have talked to our neighbors as well, both our immediate neighbors and 7 other understreets were in support of our application. The staffing is in support, and we will comply with forestry condition. And as you see, it's just a variance for height with very nominal differences, and I believe it meets the 4 tests.
Thank you. Any question or question first? No question? Then can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we've reviewed the application. I do believe what's being requested here is minor in nature, and therefore I'll put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo attached.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sankar, second. All in favor? Okay. Your application is approved unanimously for Part A. Now number 3, application 3, which is 16 Kinray Road, Part B. This is the new dwelling, 4 variances. There is nothing else. Again, do we need the presentation? Sorry? Oh, yeah. Sorry, this list today, number 3. Thank you. Yeah. Again, the same Nafishe, are you there, still there? Nandiabadi?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, yeah, here we have another speaker here listed to speak. So could you please make a presentation to tell us the merit of this application?
Basically, it's the same application as the previous one. This application was before a committee 2 years ago. It got approved for the consent and for other minor variances. Now their family is growing, expecting the second child and having a toddler already. They decided to have the parking space integrated into the house. It used to be a front yard parking. Now that the parking we're taking the parking inside, it's gonna increase the height a little bit. We tried to keep the garage height as minimum 7 feet and reduce the main floor and second floor height to the minimum, so it wouldn't increase the overall height much. And as you can see, our overall height is less than a foot more than what is permitted, and the main floor height is just nominal. No other variances is created, and I believe this is very minor in nature. And as I said, we have spoken to neighbors and they were all okay.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay. Paul Green, are you there?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Could you please could you please state your name and address for the records here?
Yes, my name is Paul Green. My address is 134 Randolph Road.
Thank you. And tell us what's your concern about this application.
Okay, first of all, I was coming to speak on both Part A and Part B. You've already approved Part A.
Yeah, because
without listening to what
you weren't listed on you were not listed on Part B, so on Part A. So
well, I should have been.
yeah, but you're not.
That's what I thought I was registering for. So
Okay,
there's hardly any point in what I'm trying to say is can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Just tell us.
Hello.
Tell us what's your concern.
Okay. I'm on Randolph Road. I'm not far away from the site, but I'm also a director of the Leaside Residents Association on the board. And we sent letters in not too long ago to Dan Antonacci and also to the city, Emily Greco, saying that we wanted to, both that were strongly opposed to both Part A and Part B, and also that we are asking for a deferral of a decision on this today. And for the reason is that the applicant failed to disclose on their application that the property they said that the property is not the subject of any previous planning application, but it was back in 2019 when TLAB granted the appeal to have a semi built on that site, and also gave them a go-ahead for 11 variances. And now they're applying for 4 more for both Part A and Part B. And it reads to anybody receiving the public notices that got this and so on that these are the only variances. And they're not. They're in addition to the 11 already granted. So this was misrepresentation on the part of the applicant. And so that is our issue, and we never received any kind of reply from city representatives on our request for a deferral. So the LRA is strongly opposed to this as it stands, especially because of the misrepresentation. And so here's the agent speaking about, oh, gee, there's only 4 variances in Part A. Well, there's not. There's 11 plus 4. 11 already granted back in 2019. So again, I thought that I was registering to speak to both Part A and Part B, and you're saying that I'm only registering to speak to Part B, which doesn't make any sense at all, since it's all the same structure. So you've already granted permission for Part A, sort of a moot point now for Part B, isn't it? And how is it that the city did not pick up on the fact that when the applicant was filling out the Committee of Adjustment application, that they're saying that there was no previous planning application? So nobody at the city picked up on this and allowed the public notice to go out showing that it's just 4 minor variances.
Okay, let me
So
know.
can you speak to that?
Let me know when you finish, please.
I'm finished.
You're finished. Okay. In front of us, there is to build a new dwelling. The new dwelling has 4 variances, and that's what we're concerned about. What has been done before is not in front of us, and maybe it was finished. We don't know what it is. In front of us, we have to construct a new dwelling. Whatever it was before probably was taken down. So all we have is 4 variances for a new dwelling, and we don't have any conditions here except for forestry for the first one and nothing for the second one. So let's see if the members have any question. Ms. Sataro, do you have a question?
No, to you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any question. I just would like to mention that we actually received an email including all the previous decision of committee, the TLAP appeal, and all of them. We receive it, and there's 4 documents we receive it on the email. So maybe it's not on the online, but we all received the previous decision. That's what I want to say.
That previous decision, yeah, but this is a new property. So, yeah. Okay, so any question for this speaker? Any more
The
questions?
previous, as far as I understood, the previous decision on the same property,
Yeah,
on the same application.
okay. Any question? No question? Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The requests are minor, are in keeping with the 4 tests. I'll move to approve this application.
Thank you. This one, there is no conditions. And second, please. Ms. Sankar seconding. All in favor? Thank you. Unanimously approved with no condition on this one. Number 4, which is 387 Hounslow Avenue, application number 4. And for number 4, we have here Mr. Romano.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Romano,
Flicker Romano, Action Planning,
Okay,
2095 Autumn Breeze, and sir, you're on mute now. Sir, I can't hear you.
oh, sorry.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. So that's 4. We have here the staff, yeah, again, the staff report is recommending to refuse it, and the councillor again support the staff to refuse heights and things and so on. So could you please tell us what's the story on this one? And
Yes, sir. I have revisions, and if my slides can be brought up, you'll see on the first page. Because having seen the staff report and discussed it with the owner, we've revised the application. So then on the first slide of my presentation, you'll see that the variance number 1 is being changed to 10.52 meters.
okay,
Variance number 2 changes to 9.28 meters.
okay,
Variance 3 changes to 8.15 meters. And variance number 4 changes to 10.68 meters.
okay. Yeah, we got all the
Okay,
changes.
so now if we can jump to slide number 3, because this application has as its genesis, the starting point, proposal that would have maintained the existing below-grade garage. You'll see a photograph of the subject site on the left-hand side, and you'll see the existing below-grade garage. It's a fairly gentle downward slope, but it is a below-grade garage. Staff were opposed to that, and the site plan and the front elevation on the right-hand side was the initial submission. So it maintained the exact same floor level for the garage slab, 121.25 meters. So staff were opposed to that. The application was then revised in order to have an at-grade garage. So the grades influence the height. We go to slide number 2. This is the proposal today. We'll see that just like what staff say in terms of where typical side walls are sidewall height variances in this neighborhood are consistent with windows that project through the eaves. That's exactly what we have here, and the staff report does not discuss that. In this case, we have on the east side elevation in the upper right, we'll see that the penetration of that side wall is because of the punctuating windows. We'll see that in the middle elevation, the front elevation, it's an at-grade garage. And we'll see that the height is measured from points underground. So the height is influenced by the grades. If the below-grade garage were being retained, the building would not be this tall. But the application was revised before it got public hearing notices issued. So then the variances would reflect an at-grade garage. So that is a discussion that is not found within the staff report, and I don't believe that the councillor is aware of that history. You'll see the 8.15 meters on the west side elevation, and if you go down to the house, Hounslow Avenue house sampling, we'll see that these existing houses that are on Hounslow, some of which are right across the street, have wall heights and overall heights that would not comply with bylaw 569/2013. So when staff in their report talk about that they have not found any approvals for height, well, the zoning bylaw 569/2013 has only been around for half a dozen years or so. And these building heights would not have been regulated by that former bylaw, but they exist. And the proposal is to respect and reinforce what exists. And the wall heights and the overall height is consistent with what we see at 241 and on the other slide next, on the other photograph next to it, which is being interrupted by my ticker here. Yes, thank you. 384 Hounslow. So I would submit that, and when we look at the house itself, no length, no lot coverage, no side yard setback variances, no landscaping variances. So the proposal has substantial zoning compliance, and the height variances reflect the grade. So I would submit that the proposal respects and reinforces, has no unacceptable adverse impact, and I would ask the committee to kindly approve it, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
As revised. As
Thank you.
revised.
Yeah, we have the revisions. Members, first, any question? Miss Ataro, do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, but I appreciate if Mr. Romano once again go through the variance.
Yeah.
There's the
Thank you.
modification.
Yeah, I have them here. You want? Okay, Mr. Romano, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, I'm unmuted, so I'm happy to walk through that. So
Okay.
variance number 1 is changed to 10.52 meters. Variance number 2 is changed to 9.28 meters. Variance number 3 is changed to 8.15 meters. And variance number 4 is 10.68 meters.
Any other question? Any other question? No? Okay, then I need a motion, please. Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In reviewing the application and seeing the site, I think what's being proposed here with the revisions is keeping in with the character of the neighborhood, and I generally see it as being minor in nature. Therefore, I will put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the revisions made by the applicant here. Variance number 1 changed to 10.52 meters. Variance number 2 changed to 9.28 meters. Variance number 3 changed to 8.15 meters. And variance number 4 changed to 10.68 meters.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sankar? Second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we have 2 opposing and 2 for and 2 against. Okay, with the generally, these numbers do not seem very, very high. Plus the changes that were made tapered the variances a little bit, and I move to with the motion. I vote for the motion to approve the application, and there is no conditions. Mr. Romano, the application is approved and there is no conditions. Item number 5, which is 87 Harlandale Avenue, application number 5. And here we have Don Juan Lee. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please.
Good morning.
Hi, just tell us your name first and your address, please.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and everyone. I'm Don Lee, an architect from 45 Shepherd Avenue East.
Thank you.
And I'm here. Yes.
Okay, so we have this, I don't know if you read the staff report. They're asking to defer or refuse. And could you please, we don't have any other speaker, but we need you to tell us what's the merit of your application, and I'll give you your 5 minutes.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here on behalf of the owner, 87 Harlandale. The owners recently bought this property and want to review the house to make it more suitable for his family situation.
Mr. Wanley,
Yes.
You're cutting off. Could you please check your equipment there, see what's going on?
It's cutting off.
Yes,
Can you hear me well?
we hear
No.
we hear the sounds, but then when you speak, it's cutting off.
Hello. Okay. Can you hear me then? Now?
Okay, keep going. We'll
What about-
see what happened.
Is it better? Is it better?
Well, we'll find out. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going, please.
Yes. The owner recently bought this property and want to rebuild the house to make it more suitable for his family situation, where 3 generations of family are living together. To make the living space more comfortable enough, we'd like to get approval for some minor variants. First of all, the height, side yard setback, and lot coverage are a little bit over or less from the limit. The height exceed the limit partially on the rooftop access, which is not habitable space, and the area is 18.65 square meter. This space is intended for maintenance of HVAC rooftop unit, solar panel, etc. The other part of the roof that is over the limit. The secondary unit area located above the garage, and its height is about 1 meter. Second of all, the vehicle access has been modified from the requirement. However, if you look at the neighboring property, there are many cases applicable to ours. In the supporting document, there are some cases in the same area as the property. Third of all, the owners want to create separate secondary units so that they can provide privacy to their parents who live with them. The city zoning requested to reduce the area of the second unit to be under 45% of main dwelling unit for becoming secondary unit. And so we made it to follow the request. But the zoning notice has recently defined this unit as a duplex. But as I said, from the initial stage of the project, we have intended it to be a secondary. Whatever it is called, we would like to request that you approve the second unit to be above ground, not in the basement. Lastly, the lot area and the lot frontage minimum requirement cannot be fulfilled because it is an existing established lot. please approve the minor variance so that the owner can comfortably live with their old parents and children together. Did you have any questions?
Cutting off, yeah. You're still cutting off, mister. Could you please check your equipment
Ah,
again?
weird. Yeah, it's cutting off still. So didn't you hear that?
Well,
Hello?
we hear your sounds, but you're cutting off. I don't know what equipment you're using there. Maybe speak to the phone or something. I don't know.
Okay, then how about that now?
Okay, keep going. Okay, we hear. So please go ahead.
Hold on a second. Now, how about that now?
Okay,
Can
keep
you hear
going.
me?
Keep going, please. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Just I finished my pension, but I'm not sure from when you didn't hear my Okay. Quickly I will re-mention. First of all, the height, side yard setback, and the lot coverage are a little bit over or less from the limit. The height exceeds the limit partially on the rooftop access, which is not habitable space. The area is 18.65 square meter only. And this space is intended for maintenance of HVAC rooftop unit, solar panels, etc. The other part of the roof is over the limit. It's the secondary unit. It's about 1.3 meters above limit. The zoning notice has recently defined this as a duplex, but from the initial stage of the project, we have intended it to be a secondary unit. Whatever it is called, we would like to request that you approve the second unit to be above ground, not in the basement. But less the lot area and lot frontage minimum requirements cannot fulfill because it is an existing established lot. So please approve the variances so that the owner can comfortably with their old parents and children together. Did you have any questions? Please let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for this speaker? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, just to confirm, are there any changes being requested to the variances?
So far, no.
No.
But some cases requested here, then gonna eagerly reconsider.
Thank you.
Any other question? If no question, can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Klassen?
Well, Mr. Chair, in keeping with the staff comments, I'm going to move to refuse this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Can I have a second? Ms. Satarodi, second. All in favor? Opposed? 2 and 2. Okay. I look at the application and 10 variances. They're really pushing the envelope. Too much height and so on. And I had to agree with the staff here. And I'll move with the motion. I'll vote with the motion to refuse the application. So, sir, your application is refused. Application number 6, which is 268 St. Clements Avenue. And here we have Jay Smith. Are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. So please state your name and address for the records here.
Jay Smith, agent for the application, 2814 Hollington Crescent.
Okay, we have here 5 variances. There is one more speaker here, Milema and Marim Lito, that they registered lately here. So please give us a short presentation. Give you 5 minutes. We have here 5 variances. We have 3 letters of objection, 23 letters of support, and this is for a front dormer and rear covered deck. So can you please give us your take on this application, and then we'll hear the other speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did put some reference materials up on the AIC. If they could come up, that would be great. I did also send in a letter that we were removing variance number 1 from the application for the setback for the rear yard deck in order to address the west neighbor's concerns. So hopefully that was received. There is a second letter of reference. I don't know if that is available with some pictures. Basically, we are looking for roof setbacks in order to meet the existing conditions. We are looking for new front dormers. The dormers seem to be where the concern has come up. I do believe they're minor in nature, and as per my cover letter, we have set back the west side dormer. The east side dormer, there's a fair bit of distance between the neighbor and the proposed dormer. There are multiple decisions in the neighborhood with similar conditions, not including number 318, which is a straight front wall with no setback like we're proposing. The pictures I've supplied show dormers that are going to be incredibly similar to what we're proposing on the street. And given that, I believe that what we're asking for is minor in nature. And as I said, the roof setbacks that we're requesting are due to the existing conditions. Further down should be a picture of the rear of the house that shows the existing roof projections, and we're just looking to match that. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, just which variance are you removing? Number 1?
Number 1, Mr. Chair, that
Okay.
would be for the deck setback.
So that was removed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So let's see what the other speakers say, and then we'll get questions for the members. We have here Milema and Marim Litoin. Are you there? We don't have a phone number here for them, huh?
They are unmuted, so
Unmute.
they are able to speak.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Milema and Narim, are you there? You're unmuted. Could you please tell us if you can speak? We don't have a phone number for them, huh? No. Milema and Narim.
How about we hold this item down and we will allow Milena time to log out
See if you can-
and log back in and try to make sure that they allow their mic to
See if you
be
can reach her, because
used.
the next one is a long one. Mr. Smith, we have a person listed here, and they came lately and they registered here. We're going to give them a chance, and we go to the next application, and if they don't show up by then, we'll move on without them, okay? We're going to hold that. Could you remind me, please, when you come back there? Item number 7, which is 101 Bidwell Avenue, application number 7. And here we have Mr. Glenn Robinoff. Are you there?
Yes, good morning, committee
Okay.
members.
Okay, your name and address, please.
It's Glenn Rubinoff, Rubinoff Design Group, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay. So, please give us, before we call the other ones, give us your presentation. This is for two-story rear addition, integral garage and side yard. And you have 7 variances. The staff report said they eliminate number 5 per applicant. That means you indicated to remove variance number 5. And they're also asking to refuse variance number 6 and 7. Transportation and forestry have no conditions, and we have 5 letters of objection. So please go ahead, tell us what you're changing there, and we'll see if we can reach the other people.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is for a side addition for a garage and an extension on the side, and a rear addition, and also for a cabana, which is related to the existing garage behind the home. That we've spoken with the clients, and they've decided to eliminate that cabana completely. So that whole existing garage will be removed, and the cabana would not be there. As a result of that change, because a lot of the variances were tied to that, I'm going to go through and eliminate some variances and make some adjustments, if you don't mind.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'll start with variance number 2. Lot coverage has been eliminated. We will be well below that requirement. It'll be at 27.8%.
So number 2 is out, okay?
Number 2 is out. Number 3, because the cabana was part of the length, it's also out. So number 3 is also no longer a variance.
Okay.
Number 4, also because of the cabana, is no longer a variance.
Gee, okay.
Number 5, as per the previous staff comments, we've eliminated variance number 5. And just to keep going, we've eliminated variance number 6 as well in relation to the eaves, because again, that was from the cabana to the side yard. Variance number 7, we're keeping a variance. We thought it would be a good idea to keep a variance. Variance number 7, we're modifying. The cabana setback was very close to the property because it was an existing garage. The proposed garage, in order for us to meet the requirement of the parking space width, we have set the garage at 0.61 meters from the side property line. So the side addition for the garage is to allow us to have a compliant parking space.
So
we're
number
changing the
7,
variance.
number 7 is
We're
changed
changing
to
the variance.
0.6.
0.61. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
And that's all the changes. And I just want to point out that just with regards to staff comments, I think we've addressed many of their concerns were related to the cabana and some of the variance as a result of it. The other thing I wanted to mention is transportation is in support of the file. The only concern they had, if you can show the site plan, if I could ask staff to show the site plan on it. The driveway width is an existing driveway. And that's where the parking space was, and that's what they want to fill it in with the garage. You see at the very bottom there's a little flare for the driveway. It kind of flares out on the city portion. Transportation's asked that be straightened out. So that's it. That's transportation's in support, and so I'll leave it there. I just wanted to go through those variances. So we really only have variance 1,
1 and 7.
which is 1, which is keeping the existing driveway effectively in place, and number 7, which is in relation to building the side garage in order to have a compliant garage inside the.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so we have just 1 and 7, and see if the other speakers. Michelle Glade Goldstein, are you there?
Yes. How can it be like when I walk the site, like I walk the site
Okay,
just
excuse
because
me,
I'm looking to see
excuse me.
when they're finished.
Hold
how
a
the colors,
second.
you know,
Hello, hold a
walking through to
second.
make sure
Hold a second. You're talking without us listening. Could you please first state your name and address for us?
they want them to go in. We're going to be ripping this stuff out.
How it's stamped. I know she's there.
There are too many people speaking there. We have here registered Michelle Goldstein. Are you there?
No.
Please allow staff to mute and unmute. Thank you.
I don't know what she's talking about. Okay.
Michelle, please stop muting and unmuting yourself. City staff will be responsible for unmuting you. Thank you.
So yesterday we were on a construction meeting, what I couldn't understand.
Okay. Now, Michelle, do you hear us?
Just give me 1 second.
Is there anybody else with Michelle there? Okay, we'll hold on this one here. We'll go to the next one. Okay, we'll come back to you. Carrie Green.
Oh, I gotta go.
Carrie Green, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, my name is Carey, C-A-R-Y, green like the color. I live at 104 Bidewell Avenue.
Thank you. Now, you heard the application. He is removing the variances 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All he has left only number 1 and number 7. Are you okay with that, or you still have problem there?
No, I'm not, because there's a couple broader issues to be dealt with to give some context to this file. And also, I don't have the in front of me, so I'm not sure what exactly those minor variances relate to. Maybe they can put them up. One of the big issues we've had, and this relates to the surrounding and adjacent neighbors, is that the applicant came in prior to building permit, prior to anything, and clear cut the trees on the property line. And these were large, significant trees, and these are trees that, if you're familiar with the area,
Mr. Green,
really,
I hate
yes.
to interrupt you. We do not deal with the trees
Yeah.
here. There is a forestry that deal with them, and before they get the permit, they have to deal with the trees. We can talk. All we have is the variances in front of us, and not the trees. So the trees.
So I will. So I'll state, because the big problem that was caused by the trees relates to something else that's going on, and that's the placement of the excavation of the swimming pool in the backyard that is basically on the right up against the property lines of the neighbors. What they're looking for is for that to be centered, pushed 5 feet off the north property, 5 feet west of the east property, so that they can go back and plant significant trees to put back the privacy that was there previous to this redevelopment. The other thing, and I don't know where it was covered in any of these variances, was the extension of the additional 7 feet or 8 feet of second floor structure, ground and second floor structure, which I'll be opposed to. And until I get complete clarification from the architect, there's a new architect on the file. I believe he's representing today. We kind of like to know if this architect is an architect of convenience, or he's actually the architect on the project, whom we can address with issues as make sure that ultimately, if there is architectural approval, that it will be sustained. So we'd like to hear from the architect whether he plans on that he is part of this project from beginning to end, if he's the new architect. Could we get that answered?
Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, we have here the variance. The first one deals with the parking, and the last one he's asking for is just a setback. So he'll come back after, and we'll have him explain the number 1 and 7 what entails. In the meantime, I'll ask the members, is there any question for this speaker? No? Okay. So, yeah. So stay tuned. We'll hear him coming back, okay? Now we have Carrie Green. Okay, that's the one. And Laura Erdman, are you there?
Mr. Chair, Laura is not on the call at the moment, so let's move on to the next number and see if she appears.
Allison and Steve Green, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so
Can you hear
please,
me?
yes, please tell us your name and your address.
My name is Stephen Green. I'm at 103 Bidewell Avenue. I am directly to the south of this property.
Okay,
Sorry, to the north of this property, And my objection is with the, okay, you have my letter up there? Thank you. You know, everything sounds wonderful when the way Mr. Rubinoff presented his case about removing this, removing that. He's no longer needing these variances. But in the meantime, they came in and they dug holes for a distance and a variance in the building itself of the addition of the home without any permit. And they dug a swimming pool hole without any permit. They removed all these mature trees. I did hear your comment about the fact that that has to do with forestry and that you're not dealing with that right now. But I mean, literally from if you scroll down and you look at my letter, you could see that I had a beautiful forest in the backyard. And now all I have is a wide open pit. And it's not in keeping with the way the neighbor should look. I've been living in this property for over 30 years. And the difference between what was and what is, without any permissions, it's like night and day. It doesn't look like the same neighborhood anymore. And it feels to me like the people that are developing this property are not actually caring about the consistency of the way this neighborhood looks. So it's very upsetting to all of us, and that's why you're getting so many complaints today. I took a picture, you see, it looks like a forest from Google Earth, and now it's just, you know, complete coverage of building materials. And apparently they were going to put a sport court. Now they're removing that because I guess they're getting so much opposition. But none of these, like even the building that's been extended that you see in that photograph that's on the screen right now, it's not, I don't think it's the right distance from my property line. And so I'm opposing that as well. And I think that needs to be addressed. So there's quite a few things that are frustrating about how this change is going. There was originally absolutely no permits, no fencing put on. They were ripping and removing hazardous materials and just dumping them in the front of the house. As you could see from that photograph, nothing was blocked off. It was like in the cloak of darkness, they came with some arborist and they removed all of these mature trees that were in the back of that property and in the front of that property. There was a bunch of mature trees that were actually in the front. I don't have the photograph, but you know, you're talking about 50-year-old trees. And I know you don't want to deal with that because you said it's forestry, but it has a large impact on our concerns and our concerns about drainage. You know, it just talks about the total disregard for the rules. And it's throwing in the face of this committee that we could do whatever we want as long as we'll act now and we'll beg for forgiveness later. And I don't like the whole process that's going on. And I have to watch this because I'm right beside it, and it affects my property value and it affects all of our neighbors. And the sound barrier has disappeared. The privacy has disappeared. I now can look at pictures of every single one of the backyard neighbors. I didn't even know those houses existed or what they looked like before. It looks like I'm in a subdivision when I'm living in a place that was built in the 1950s. So, you know, it's definitely not in keeping with. So my concern is that I want some kind of validation for the fact that this new builder and new owner is going to plant mature trees that will line the property and replace what was taken away. And that's all the comments that I have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, all the things that you're mentioning are very, very important, and I hear your frustration. Unfortunately, we have in front of us two variances. If they didn't have these two variances, they wouldn't be here. They can go and do whatever you said they do to dig holes and have trees and do all that stuff without coming to us. All we look at is the variances in front of us. So the other things have to be taken by the building department and the permits and all this, just not here, that's all. So let's see if the members have any question for the speaker. Any question? Okay, so we'll have the agent come back and answer those questions.
Mr. Chair, we do have some more speakers.
Okay, yeah, I know. We'll have the speaker come back, the agent, and he will explain those concerns, okay? Thank you. Okay, next speaker we have TJ Ciora. Are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I hope I pronounced your name. Could you please state your name and address for the records here?
Sure. My name is TJ Secura. I am a registered professional planner and principal of Design Plan Services, Inc., 900 The East Mall, Suite 300, M9B 6K2.
Okay, so please tell us what's your concern about this application. And all we have here, please remember we have variance number 1 and number 7. So if you can comment on that one, would be appreciated.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the committee has our letter of concern on file. And although we expressed some concerns with the size of the cabana, I understand that it has been removed. What I would point out to the committee, though, is that the 0.3 meter side yard setback that has been increased to 0.6 meters, or I apologize, 0.61, was always existing for the extension of the garage and the second floor above it on the south side of the house, abutting my client's property, number 99 Bidewell. And staff, in their staff report, raised similar concerns to ours in that the reduction of the required 1.8 meter side yard setback to 0.6 meters abutting my client's property is a concern, as it brings built form to a proximity and location to the house at 99 Bidewell in a manner that was never intended by the bylaw. This bylaw governs a site-specific increase in the required side yard setback from 1.5, which is normal in this zone, to 1.8. So the bylaw intent was specifically to create additional separation and additional space between dwellings. The application seeks to reduce that 1.8 meter side yard setback to 0.61 meters for the garage and second story above the garage, specifically beside my client's property. In our opinion, that does not meet the intent of the bylaw. So while we appreciate the client's or the applicant's efforts to reduce the variances, as it pertains to number 99, the cabana was actually not the main part of the concern because the garage currently existing was being converted into the cabana. It was really focused on the addition of the new garage and the second floor above it at the 0.61 meter setback. So that is our concerns. I don't think it meets the intent of the bylaw in that the bylaw specifically increased the side yard setback, which they are seeking to reduce. And we are asking that the committee refuse the variance related to the side yard setback, the same way that the city staff are asking that the variance related to side yard setback be refused. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any question for the speaker? Okay, thank you. We'll get the agent to come after and address those concerns, okay? Now, we were holding Laura Elderman. Is she there?
No, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
she is not. We were also holding a Michelle who has left the call as well.
Okay. Oh, she left also. Okay, thank you. All right. So we'll get back the agent. Okay, Mr. Robinoff. Mr. Robinoff.
Hello. Yes.
Okay, could you come back, please, and address these concerns? As I understand, the last one is concerned about 7, which is the staff also said to refuse it, but he mentioned that you're asking 0.6. Our variance, my variance here reads 0.3 meter. Which is it? Which?
Okay, so let me just clarify. The cabana was the existing garage for the house, and it was at 0.3, and that's being demolished for the purposes of creating a new garage, which is going to be set at 0.61 on the side yard. The reason I mentioned earlier about the 0.61 was to allow a full width garage inside the building without a variance needing for a narrower garage, so to speak. This again is for a portion of the building only. You know, it's not for the entire building. It's just for the first. It's 7.91 meters is the depth of it, but it steps back another foot or two from the front of the building. So basically, it's a 0.61 meter setback for just the garage and area above portion. If you look at 103 and you look even at 99, there's projections at the front of both of those houses towards the side yard, which are both closer than the required 1.8 meters. In 103, the setback is at 0.97. Again, it's just for a portion of the house. At 99, of which TJ spoke about, it's at 1.32 at the front corner. Again, it's closer than the bylaw permits. So this is part of the character in the area, that there are some projections that do occur. The whole purpose of this is to give my client an opportunity to have a garage incorporated into the house rather than a detached garage at the back, which they eliminated, and now that they've eliminated it as converted to a cabana. We're really just talking about an attached garage, and the purpose of the 0.61 is to allow for a full regular size parking space inside. The other variance related, number one, is just simply related to keeping the existing driveway. And that's what it is. We're not creating any more hard surface. We're just simply keeping the existing driveway. It's not a landscaping issue. It's not a length issue. There was some concern that there was an addition dug without a permit. There actually was a permit, and it's been issued and has been subject to inspection by the city. So there's been no illegal construction per se going on at this point. And I want to make that very clear. My client's got a permit for the rear addition. What this is for, coming to committee, is for the side addition, the garage and the room above. It's not for the rear. And as a result of the elimination of the cabana, we no longer have the length of variances which were brought up by it, or any of the associated variances related to that. So we're really just talking about the side garage addition. And I do feel that there are precedents existing and proposed in the neighborhood that side yard setbacks for a portion of the building is not unusual. And I don't think it's going to interrupt anything going on in the neighborhood. I will speak to the trees because I think it's an important point to make. My client had a previous contractor who is no longer on the job, who removed a number of the trees. He's no longer involved. City has come in, they've assessed, they've fined them, they've paid the fines. They're replanting several trees as a result. So forestry is fully aware of everything that's gone on there, and they are in touch with the homeowners, and that is something that they're dealing with. But this is something that was unfortunate at the beginning, but this contractor is no longer involved with that, and I just wanted to make that clear. But that there is an agreement in place to plant several trees, so that should restore some of the coverage that I believe some of the neighbors' concerns were related to. But I also want to make clear that the rear addition is permitted, and we have permits for it, and they were submitted, approved, and they've been building with the permit, not without. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So the first variance remains, and the number 7 changed to 0.61. Is that correct? Mr. Robinov? Mr. Robinov, are you still there?
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Yes, it's 0.61. Correct.
0.61. Okay, let's see what the members have to say. Any question? Ms. Satarodi, you have a question?
And no, I just want a clarification from Mr. Rubinoff that the variance number 7, the proposed south side yard setback is now 0.61, and as you mentioned, is for the garage portion and the unit above.
Yes, yes, that's right. The front part of the house only, but 2 floors, yes, for both floors.
Thank you.
Any other question? No question? Then can I have a motion there, please? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In listening to the applicant and the various other speakers here, and the significant revisions made by the applicant here, I do see this as being minor in nature, and therefore I will put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the following revisions. Variances number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 be eliminated. Variance number 7 changed to 0.61 meters, and I will make it subject to the urban forestry memo attached, as well as the transportation comment to straighten the curb flare at the end of the driveway. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Sankar, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Unanimous. Mr. Robinoff, your application is unanimously approved based on those changes you made, okay?
Mr. Chair, do you want to go back to item
Yes,
6?
yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So that's Milema, eh? Okay. Milema and Miriam Litwin, are you there? Milema and Narim Litwin, are you there? No, that's it. Okay, so we're going to move on. Okay, Mr. J. Smith, can you come back here, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sorry about the interruption. There was another listed speaker, but then they disappeared. So we have here, we heard your presentation, and let's see if the members have any questions. This is regarding number 6, which is 268 St. Clement Avenue. Can I have any question? Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair. I have no question. I'm ready to put forward a motion.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my motion will be to approve this application with one modification, that the variance number 1 have been eliminated, and numbers, and that's it.
That's
with
it.
no other condition.
No. Thank you. Second, Mr. Klassen, second. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Sir, your application unanimously approved based on the change that you made, removing variance number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's 7, number 8. Application number 8, which is 170, the Bridle Path. Application number 8. And we have here Richard Wengel. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Wengel, we hear you. Could you please just the name and address for the records?
Yes, it's Richard Wengel, Architect, Inc., 102 Avenue Road, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay. We have here is a new dwelling, 3 variances, staff report, just condition. and TRCA, no objection, and one letter of support. So could you give us a short presentation?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yes, I gave there's some supporting material. If we could just go to page number 2 of our supporting material, I can just explain it very quickly. Thank you. This is a site plan that shows the house that we're proposing to build. To the left-hand side, which is north, is Edwards Gardens, and to the right is number 172, the Bridle Path, which we have a letter of support. Essentially, what we're asking for, there's a small height variance under the old bylaw. The new bylaw, we are compliant. We are asking for we have a raised deck at the back. Now, this house is being designed for a couple, so it is actually an accessible house, meaning it's one step out of the ground. But because the lot drops off towards the back, the terrace that we have, which is surrounding the swimming pool that you see, is elevated more than 1.2 meters out of the ground. So therefore, it counts in length. Again, had the lot been flat, we wouldn't be having that variance. To the left of that is an outdoor garden room, and underneath that is parking. But again, that extra depth is just because we're 1.4 meters out of the ground instead of 1.2. Again, the neighbor to the right on the south has acknowledged that and has given his letter of support. If we can just go then to the page number 4, there is a private terrace that's set away from the neighbors. That's a little larger than what's proposed. It's circled in red. It's 23.7 meters. Again, it doesn't affect anybody in the park, and it's far enough away from the neighbor, and he's acknowledged that. It's just a larger terrace than the 4 meters. That's what's normally permitted. And then just page number 5, you'll see a height diagram, and the blue line is the permitted height under the new bylaw, and we are under that. The red line is the old maximum, again, which measures midpoint eaves to ridge, but also from the center line of the road. So again, planning doesn't have a problem with this because our new house is actually below that. We just have a skylight touching the maximum permitted height under the new bylaw. For the most part, we respect all of that, and even our existing roof under the old bylaw is marginally over. There's just some small 312 pitches that exceed that. I believe it does pass the 4 tests. We have positive planning, TRCA, etc. And if we just go to page number 7 and 8, you'll just see some modest renderings that just show the intent of the front landscaping. I know there's some comments from forestry. We can deal with them. And the next page is just the back of the house, and you'll see that terrace. So it's flat out from the house. It's just the lot happens to drop off below. And the intent of this was to make a fully accessible house for our new clients.
That's it?
That's it, sir.
Thank you. We don't have any other speaker. And members, any question for the speaker? Ms. Satarodi?
No, I have no question,
Well,
but
let's
I'm
see.
ready to put forward.
Yeah. Excuse me, just one second. Any person has any question? No questions? Ms. Satarodi, please go ahead for a motion.
Okay, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with just one city staff recommendation or condition that the rear deck height be developed substantial in accordance with the south side elevation and also subjected to forestry.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Thank you. Your application is unanimously approved based on the staff condition. Okay? Application number 9, which is 90 Snowden Avenue. Application number 9. And here we have Rob Douglas and Cheryl Douglas.
Mr. Chair, we have the agent, actually, Michael, at the bottom.
Oh, I see. So Rob Douglas is not here, huh? Okay.
That's correct. This agent will be speaking for the owners.
Okay, thank you. His name is Barton, right? Mr. Barton, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, so you're speaking for Rob Douglas and Cheryl Douglas. Please go ahead. We have one more speaker here, and therefore we need you to make a small presentation, please.
Absolutely. My name is Michael Barton. I am the applicant on this file. I'm at 1489 Abbeywood Drive in Oakville. I'll just see what comes up here. So what we have is relatively straightforward. I will address the letter of objection that was received as well. But the situation here is that we have an area in front of the existing dwelling that's 2.6 meters by 5.6 meters, or by 5.2 meters, that currently accommodates parking in front of the dwelling. So that's not legally recognized as a parking space today. And the reason for that is that the parking from the original dwelling was at the rear of the property, but currently with an addition that was put on in 2006, the rear yard is no longer accessible. So as we can see on the site plan that's before you, the current parking area is in front of the dwelling, and that area is shown as proposed parking space. So it's fully within the limits of the property survey. We're not talking about anything that encroaches outside of the property limits, that's based on any location of pavers. It's based strictly on the space that is available within the property today based on the legal survey. So what we have here is space to accommodate parking space of 2.6 meters by 5.2. And indicated they have no objection to this. It's their opinion that there's adequate space here for a parking stall as proposed. The letter of objection is, I think, a matter to be dealt with privately between the applicant, or sorry, the current owner and the neighbor. So it relates to concerns about whether pavers that are along the west side of that driveway may have shifted and encroached over the property line. However, we don't have a survey that shows that. However, what we're addressing here at the committee today is the room that is actually available within the property limits to accommodate parking. So we're not asking for anything that would be an encroachment on the neighbor's property. It's strictly to recognize that there is a parking space that's available today that's 2.6 meters by 5.2 meters. And I'm in agreement with the transportation comments that this is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. I did provide a letter. I won't go into detail, but what we see in this application is that there's no changes to the property whatsoever. The house, landscaping, driveway, it's strictly to recognize the existing condition today, which is reflective of what happens in the surrounding neighborhood, where you see parking in front of the dwellings right off the road, and then landscaped area in front as well. So that is the heart of the application. Like I said, if I need to clarify the letter of objection that was received, I can do that, but I do believe it relates to concerns about whether there may have been some pavers that have shifted over time. However, we are not asking for any type of encroachment outside of the legal limits of the property, and we don't need that area to provide this requested parking space.
Okay, so you don't need the owners to speak. You're speaking for them, right? Because they're listed here as speakers. So you're okay with that?
Yes, unless there's specific questions. However, I don't believe that there's any questions that they'll need to address on this variance
Okay,
application.
yeah, we have one more speaker here, and we just have 3 variances. The transportation, they have no objection, and just to deal with that letter of objection, so we'll see. We have here Chris Healing. Are you there? Chris?
I'm here.
Okay, could you please state your name and address?
Chris Healing, 86 Snowden Avenue,
Thank you.
Toronto.
Thank you. So tell us what you're concerned about this application. We have 3 variances, and tell us what's your concern.
Yeah, the concern, as I've noted in my letter, is related to the construction of the driveway, which currently encroaches on my property. I understand the interest or need for, for the parking space. We support having the parking space available. We just are concerned about the value of our property and the concern over the nature of, this, being claimed as their property. So, as I noted also in there, they did rebuild their driveway, was reconstructed in 2013. And at the time, I did submit a letter in hand, just to them, asking them to make sure that their builder constructed the driveway entirely on their property, and that to not put pavers along the deck portion of our property, which they did. And then, so that line, I disagree with the concept of the pavers being moved over time. I think that the driveway was actually constructed, and it was just never addressed appropriately. So I did have a discussion with one of the owners, with Cheryl, and she understood. As a matter of fact, she completed my sentence for me. The value of the property, is a possible concern. But that's really where my concerns are.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't deal with the values of the property here. All we have is variance, and the variances are in front of us, and we look at the variance if it fits the bylaw. So if you have a dispute as far as where the line goes, is a question of verifying as a I don't know, it's not here. So we have these three variances, but we'll call him again to explain again what he suggests about the line, where the line goes, but we don't deal with it here. Any question for the speaker? So Mr. Barton, could you come back, please?
Yes, I'm here now.
Okay, so could you address the concern of the gentleman? He said it's not like you said the moved, the pavement didn't move, but the line that goes differently. So could you please explain that?
Absolutely. I don't believe there's a concern about where the property line is. I haven't seen anything except the survey that's before the committee and the site plan that shows the location of the parking and the dimensions that are available. My understanding is this concern may relate to if the pavers, and I guess I won't pretend to know the exact reason why this concern about where the physical pavers sit, what the rationale is, but the pavers, if they do encroach slightly on the property line, it doesn't impact the variances that are before you. It's not a concern about where the property line is. I think it's a concern about whether the owners of the subject property will try and claim that section of the driveway as their own and part of their property due to the fact that if the pavers are actually in fact over the property line, as opposed to there being a concern about whether this survey accurately shows the property line. So I think it's a situation where if there's a private concern about the construction of those pavers, that could be done privately. The issue before the committee is 2.6 by 5.2 meters appropriate for a parking space in front of the dwelling. And I don't believe that's the concern that's being raised, is that the survey doesn't accurately show that dimension. It is, and the way I read the letter of objection was concern that my clients may try and claim the driveway area as part of their property if there is in fact an encroachment. But that's not what's before the committee today. So I would say that would be my response there.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we have three variances here. As I explained, if we didn't have these three variances, you wouldn't be here. Any dispute about the survey is not here. Is not in this committee. So, members, any question for this speaker? And if no question, then I need a motion. Mr. Bartolo?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Given the transportation has no objections to this, and they're stating that it's in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application.
There's no conditions. Okay, thank you. Second, Mrs. Atarodi, and all in favor? Okay, thank you. Unanimously approved, sir. application number 10, which is Strataland Wood application number 10. And for this, we have Jim Pfeffer. Jim Pfeffer, are you there?
Jim Pfeffer, yes, I am here.
Okay, can you please repeat your name and address for us for the record?
Yeah, I'm Jim Pfeffer of 3 Bridgman Avenue, Toronto, Ontario, M4S1L4.
Thank you. So we have here a new dwelling. Staff report is asking to build in accordance with the site plan. Transportation has no objection. Forestry condition number 1, and you have 2 letters of support. You know what? Could you please make very short presentation and address the concern of the 3-story?
Yeah, I'll actually say 2 things. We do have letters of support. Of course, planning is supportive with this condition. The owner canvassed the neighborhood quite extensively. I think went to probably over 20 houses. And we do, as well as those 2 letters of support that you see on file, there's 2 other, or we've got the support of the neighbor to each side. The neighbor to the west, we're getting their support because we're agreeing to eliminate variance number 8, which is the variance of the second balcony. So we would like to eliminate that variance. In terms of the 3rd story, I'll say that 3rd stories are quite prevalent in this neighborhood. As a matter of fact, the house both to the immediate west and to the immediate east have 3 stories. This 3rd story is entirely contained within the sloping roof. You can see its presence on the street in this front rendering is confined to those 3 dormers, which are, you know, certainly not extreme in size. And if you sort of move along to actually page number 4 of this booklet, there's the back, and actually at the back, page 2 there, I'll just say that balcony on the 3rd story, that's what was causing the concern to that one neighbor. We're getting rid of variance number 8 to eliminate that balcony. So going on to the 4th page, I've mentioned the house to either side has a 3rd story. And also on this map here and on this chart, you can see the kind of chart off to the left of the primary chart has a list of all of those houses with 3-story variances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So over 20 variances there. I don't think they're highlighted on the map, but it's certainly, you know, it's prevalent in the neighborhood. I was talking to the neighbor to one side about the fact that we were having that balcony for egress from the 3rd story, and he just mentioned the fact that in his opinion, there's hundreds of 3rd stories in this neighborhood, similarly confined to the attic story. So I think what we're doing is very much in keeping with the character of the neighborhood in this case. And of course, planning didn't have a concern with that either. And if there's any other specific questions about the other variances, I'd be happy to speak to them as well.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, these last 2 pages, you'll see a number of 3-story houses. The last 2 pages are photos of 3-story houses.
Okay, thank you. Any question? Question for this speaker? Questions first? No question? Okay, can I have a motion then? Ms. Sankar?
Or trying to get my unmute button there. Yeah, so I do accept the explanations provided by the applicant or the agent here today. And I do believe from my point of view that this meets the 4 tests. There's no objections from transportation, and as well the elimination of variance number 8 sits well with me. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application. I'll make it subject to the November 25th staff report that the building length and depth be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing attached. That would include elimination of variance number 8 as per the agent's request, and I'll make that subject to forestry as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Bartolo, second. All in favor? Opposed? Ms. Satarod is opposing, and your application is approved, subject to you removing variance number 8 and subject to forestry.
So, Mr. Chair, can we get a break, like 10-minute break?
Okay, can we return here within 10 minutes? We're going to have a recess. Thank you. I needed that. Thank you for that. That's the best suggestion I had to do. By the way, I used to go to the city hall and this time of the year. Don't give him, don't.
I thought we'd be done. I thought we'd be done the morning one by now.
You have the grip on this one now, huh? This is the first time you're doing it? Okay, members, can we resume the session, please? I don't see anybody here. Members, we'd like to resume, please. Okay. Very good. Okay, Joe will come back too. Okay, we have now item number 11, which is 40 Bennington Heights, application number 11, and then we have Brenda Eisen. Are you there?
This is Brenda Eisen.
Yeah, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. Can you please repeat your name and address for the records here so they can record it?
Yes, this is Brenda Eisen, 91 Tychos Drive, agent for the applicant.
Okay. Now, did you see we have a staff report recommending to refuse it. And we have also counselor that's supporting the staff for the refusal. And we have here a dwelling with 14 variances and 3-story and all that stuff. What would you like to do? Do you want to go ahead with it or you want to defer it?
Yes, please. I'd like to go ahead with the presentation.
So please go ahead. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more, 5 more speakers. Make your presentation. I'll give you the 5 minutes and tell us what's the merit of your application.
Thank you. I submitted a presentation package. Actually, yesterday was a late submission uploaded to the AIC. Can I ask staff to pull that up, please? Thank you. Bennington Heights is a small community. It's actually a planned community built on architectural principles that define the relationship between the homes and their surroundings. The elevations prioritize a relationship with the tree canopy. The front gardens are all immaculately landscaped and the front doors are low to the ground. Before we talk about any variances, I feel it's really important to communicate that the property at 40 Bennington Heights is undevelopable within right. On the west side, between the front yard setback and the TRCA rear setback, there is an allowable building length of only 3.2 meters. This site is fraught with challenges, and today I'm going to explain how we navigated those, and for this reason, we're seeking 14 variances to the bylaws today. Our starting point for the design of this home was to identify how we could best work within the constraints of this site and the design principles of the neighborhood. And furthermore, how we could look at the existing house critically and improve the relationship between the architecture, the street, and the neighborhood. Next slide, please. Our answer was to start with the trees. There are two large old trees in close proximity to the existing house, and I would consider these to be irreplaceable. Can you go to the next page, please? We started working with an arborist in March of 2021, and together, collaboratively with the arborist and the TRCA, came up with a strategy to keep the existing rear and side foundation walls and use these existing walls as shoring for the new structure. Almost 50% of the footprint of the existing house is within the tree protection zones of these two trees, as you can see in these two large circles. Keeping these walls will maintain a pressure against the earth and tree root system so that will cause minimal disturbance to the protected ravine area and tree roots. Maintaining this existing condition in itself triggers 5 of the 14 variances, numbers 1, 8, 9, 12, and 13. You can see here the existing house in blue overlaid on top of the proposed house shown with the thick black line, and that the side and rear walls are largely in the same position. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we did not have flexibility for lot coverage. We do not have variances for building length, building depth, or coverage. So in order to accommodate the needs of this family with 3 school-age children, our only option was to go upward. We are proposing a 3-story house in replacement of an existing 3-story house. But as you can see on this slide, it's common for homes on the south side of Bennington Heights that back onto the ravine to have 3 stories, including the existing home. And you can see some other examples in the photos on the right there. Next slide, please. We have also been very sensitive in our massing. Actually, the letter from planning staff references that the intent of regulating the lower height and number of stories for flat roof is to account for different massings from the design. This is something that very much factored into our design, and our 3rd floor setback creates a condition that is less steep than the pitch of the existing roof and less steep than most of the other roofs in the neighborhood. Also, while looking at this slide, I'll point out that the existing house is 9.81 meters and our proposed is 9.9, which is a difference of less than 4 inches, and also that this is not a precedent-setting height for the neighborhood. Next slide, please. Lastly, regarding the front yard setback, this is the zoning map taken from the City of Toronto zoning website. You can see here that most of the houses on the south side of Bennington actually come quite close to the property line. In a couple of instances, the home actually touch, and in one case, there's a covered carport that encroaches into city property. Our proposal is far from that. It actually fits in with the alignment of the houses on the street, as you can see. Next slide, please. Our front setback variance is only to the front wall of the garage, only on the ground floor only. We are seeking 4.35 meters to the garage wall, but the rest of the main wall on the ground floor is 6.04 meters setback, which is further back than the adjacent house. And the second story is set back 6.23 meters of the required 6.455, so it's quite minor. If you take the time to understand the constraints of our site, as well as the existing condition and surrounding houses, I'm of the opinion that this proposal respects and reinforces the existing and planned context of the neighborhood, that it actually provides an improvement to the streetscape from the existing condition, and that it protects the tree canopy in a responsible and meaningful way. And for all of these reasons, meets the 4 tests under Section 45. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Thank you. You're very good on the 5 minutes, exactly. Okay, now we have the next one is we'll get the agent back if we have any questions. We'll hear the neighbors first. We have Ian Anderson or Malini Difton. Who's here? Mr. Ian Anderson, are you there? Mr. Anderson? Ian Anderson, are you there? How about the other one? Mr. Ian Anderson, are you there? How about Malini Dufton, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, so you registered here to speak on the application. You heard, could you please tell us what's your concern about this application, and we'll give you your 5 minutes. Tell us what's your concern.
Yes, thank you. My name is Malini Dufton. I live at 12 Noel Avenue. I'm a longtime resident of Bennington Heights, having lived in 2 different houses in the neighborhood over the course of 24 years. Both my houses were renovated, and my current house has undergone a full rebuild, including an extension. I, just as many neighbors, have lovely new homes. We welcome new families and renovations as they continue to enhance the neighborhood. However, it is prudent that these enhancements stay within the guidelines set out by the city, as well as conform to neighborhood characteristics. The proposed build at 40 Bennington Heights exceeds several variances, and it is the collective nature of all of these variances that result in a home that is too large for the space. I agree the Eisen team has designed a beautiful new home. On their website, they state, and I quote, "It is our belief that most of successful buildings are born from an open and thorough collaboration between all stakeholders, architect, client, consultants, community, and various municipal authorities." In this case, a total of 14 variances have been submitted, quite a large number. In addition to not meeting municipal authority guidelines, collaboration with the community on a significant number of the variances was not done. In the presentation, references have been made to comparisons of height and front yard setbacks that are either inaccurate or inappropriate, as they are not directly relevant comparisons. There are 23 height comparisons, including the build in question. Only 5 or less of those homes are representative of the type of flat roof home that is being proposed. Of these homes, none of them are similar in height to the proposed home, and most meet the current bylaw guidelines or required a minor variance, not one that is 2.7 greater than the bylaw. With respect to front yard setback, all of the homes on Bennington Heights that are provided are examples on the curved stretch of the street. This is not the case for the proposed home. The proposed home is on the street part of the street, and none of the other homes on this part of the street have breached setback bylaws. And of 2.14 front yard setback variance. You'll also note that no comparisons were provided about FSI of the proposed home, which is a 0.92 FSI. I would also like to share one of the neighbors who is 4 doors or 4 houses away from the proposed build. They are George Yabu and Glenn Buschelberg. They are residents of 32, and the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because they are principals of one of the world's top design firms. We are residents at 32 Bennington Heights since 2001 and are expressing our deepest concerns about a zoning variance application submitted by the owners of 40 Bennington Heights Drive. The guidelines currently in place are to protect the best and unique qualities of an established central Toronto neighborhood. This application requests far too many exceptions outside these guidelines, and if granted approval, is significantly inappropriate and an insensitive intervention on the streetscape. These are non-conforming multiple requests within a single application for zoning amendments. Clearly suggests such a residential structure is best suited for, say, a new community to be built from the ground up, with planning objectives that are appropriate for such a grand single-family home. They further point out that this proposal attempts to obtrusively shoehorn itself into the streetscape in a very unbalanced way. So you just heard from the principals of a top design firm who builds homes, hotels, and resorts around the world. They believe that Toronto has great urban assets, as I know you do. We recommend you reject this proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're just on your 5 minutes. Now, are you're Save Our Bennington, is that correct?
Yes, I'm one of the directors of Save Our
Now,
Bennington.
with you there, it listed Ian Anderson. He wasn't answering. Is that okay that you spoke for the Save Our Bennington?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
I'm assuming you're still not on.
I'm sorry?
I'm assuming Ian is still not on, although I did hear him. I'm wondering if he has
No, he's
having
not,
trouble.
but you said you're speaking for the organization. So let's see if there's any questions for you here. If not, we'll have the agent come back and answer all those questions. Okay. Now, next one we have is Paul.
Mr. Chair, do we want to try Ian to see if he'd like to speak?
No,
Just give him one more chance because he has emailed me saying that he would like to speak.
He did,
So
yeah.
I would like to see if he would want to try. And
Okay. Mr. Anderson, are you still there? No, she said she heard him, but he's no longer there. Mr. Anderson, Ian Anderson, are you still there? Or are you there at all? No. Okay, we have here Paul Hughes, Paul and Allison Hughes. Paul and Allison.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm Allison Hughes.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, my husband, Paul Hughes, and I live at 38 Bennington Heights. As such, we are immediately adjacent to number 40 Bennington Heights on the west side.
Thank you. So tell us what you're concerned about this application.
I have lots of concerns about this application.
Well, you have 5
and I
minutes.
think
You have 5 minutes. Say as
5
many
minutes.
concerns as you want.
Okay. I was hoping that Ian Anderson from Save Our Bennington would be there, but I want to just refer to the fact that I know that you've had letters or submissions from Jay Robinson, the councillor of Ward 15, and a staff report from Denise McMullen. And in addition to that, there you have a number of submissions from our neighbors, and including from my husband, Paul Hughes, who's was a practicing architect for 50 years, now retired. And you have got our letter with our written objections to 12 of the 14 variances. I'm sure that you are familiar with our concerns, so I don't want to take time to add any further comments at this point. Other than we really have very strong concerns about what happens to the, if you will, the streetscape, the sight lines, and incredibly important to all of us in Bennington Heights, the ravines and the forests. And I understand this is beyond the mandate of COA, and we will have to look for other ways to explore what can be done to protect our properties. In addition to my husband's and my submission, you have also received a submission from Moya Ashby on the other, who's the other adjacent neighbor at 42 Bennington Heights Drive, from Doug and Lorna Upton, who live at 39 Bennington Heights Drive, directly across from 40 Bennington Heights. And this house would be in their vision. George Yabu and Glenn Plushelberg have already been referred to and are such a recognized Toronto and international firm that there's nothing I could say that would add to anything they would have said. Dr. David Ladder at 45 Bennington Heights Drive across the street. Linda McCain, who lives at 2 Moore Hill Drive at the corner of Bennington Heights Drive and Moore Hill Drive. Richard and Sarah Sujit at 28 Bennington Heights Drive.
I just want to, excuse me, I just want to save you some time. We have all those letters here. We have 8 objections. You don't have to go through them, all of them. But we're going to...
Well, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Please go ahead. Yeah. I'm just want to save you time, not to go over like the same thing. We have 33 letters of support. We don't have to go through them. So
the reason that I was bringing them up is that these are neighbors in the immediate area. They're either on the street or just around the corner.
Okay.
And the final, we actually have another one from Lisa Ilsmere and her husband, George Main. And I'm wondering if you would just give me permission to introduce that. The circumstances are difficult. George Main's father, Dr. Jim Main, had a fall a couple of days ago and suffered a broken neck. He died at 6:30 p.m. last night. And Lisa took the time to dictate a letter that she sent to Malali Dufton. And I have a copy of it, and I just want to read briefly. Originally, Lisa did not want to get involved in the proposed build of 40 Bennington Heights, as she believes everyone has the right to build a home of their needs and likes. She was led to believe that the variances were minor. Upon further discussion and analysis, she's learned that the variances are not minor. She would now like to speak up, but she's in the midst of this family personal situation. The variants are not minor, and when viewed collectively are concerning. She's also very concerned and expressed concern about the removal of massive trees in the backyard. And while the city ravine authorities may have approved the removal of the trees, she's concerned about the impact of the stability on the slope ravine behind the houses. There have been at least 3 recent home builds that have resulted in soil slides after the house has been built. And Lisa feels that as custodians of the ravine, each of us has a responsibility to protect our green space. And Lisa is concerned about the proximity of the build to the next door neighbors, number 38, which is our house. And I thank you for letting me read that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Now we'll see if there is any question, and we'll have the agent come back, and she'll explain, she'll address all those concerns, okay? Now we have another one here. I understand Ian Anderson is not there. Mr. Anderson, are you still there?
Mr. Chair, can we just keep moving down the list, and we'll get back to Ian once we finish these speakers.
Moya Ashby, are you there?
Mr. Chair, Moya Ashby is not logged in via that name or the phone number provided.
You said she's logging or not?
She is not present.
Thank you. Doug and Lorna Upton, are you there? Doug?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
thank you. Can you please state your name and address for us?
Yeah, it's Doug and Lorna Upton at 39 Bennington Heights Drive. We're immediately across the road from the new build.
Thank you. So you heard all the objections. Do you have other objections to tell us?
Yes, and and we should connect with Ian. I don't know why he can't connect. I've talked to him, and he's adamant that he needs to speak. But in his absence, we've been residents for 37 years here, and we've seen many developments. And when we looked at the 14 variances here, most of these variances are not minor, they're major. And I'd like to just reemphasize that. And that the biggest one is the height. And in contradiction to what the agent said, this is not a 3-story house, it's a 2.5-story house, as listed in numerous areas in the different documents, as supported by your city planner when you read his report. Secondly, the height. This is a proposed new build, therefore grandfathering does not apply, and they have to meet the new regulations, which is 7.2 meters, okay? And they're proposing a 9.9. So clearly much higher. The other thing is the houses they shown are 2.5-story houses, not 3-story houses. So again, the architect is trying to mislead us all, okay? So the big objection is number one, the height. The second one is the floor index. The bylaw right now says 0.6. They're calling for 0.9. That is ridiculous. The second or the third thing is the number of stories. I already said. Bennington Height is a 2 and 2.5-story residence, not a 3-story. The front setback. The reason for that setback, as was pointed out by the other person, is along Bennington Heights Drive, all the houses are in line. What the architect was trying to allude to was at the very end of the street, there are a few exceptions. Okay, but in the area that we're specifically looking at, everybody is in line. Specific argument is the garage that sticks forward, 6 feet or 2.0 meters. Our concern also is Moya's property is going to be interrupted by that. Also, there is a side window in that garage. Also, there is an area underneath. So I'm concerned about what the real use of that garage is going to be. The other point is when you see the drawing on the front, that is misrepresented in that on the east side, that is a garage, not the house. And the garage does not have a full basement. The new design will. That means when they excavate, they'll be going down 14 feet, and that's going to disrupt the neighbors on Moyer's side. The side set, and the other thing that's going to do is that's going to disrupt Moyer's property, not what the said that the back wall and side walls are going to prevent the tree from being damaged. There is no foundation on the east side that goes down the 14 feet that they're going to be excavating. Just as background, I'm a professional engineer. I've done all kinds of buildings across North America. So the other thing is the whole context of this house is not in the behavior character of all of Bennington Heights. And Save Bennington was designed and put forward so that houses like this would not be built. This will set a dangerous precedent in the neighborhood, which, and I'll have to say that the Committee of Adjustments over the 37 years has supported the neighborhood in height, setback, and sidebacks. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Yeah, thanks for the, just a second, any question for the speaker? We're going to get the agent after that, okay? Now we have the next one we couldn't find before is Moya Ashby. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, we do not have a Moya Ashby, but we do have a Peter Ashby who may be logged in for this.
Okay, thank you. Peter Ashby, are you there?
Yes, it's Moya. I was using
Moya
Peter's
is here. Okay.
iPad.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us, please?
Okay, Moya Ashby, 42 Bennington Heights Drive, and I am the immediate east side neighbor to 40 Bennington Heights.
Okay.
So
tell us, please, what's your concern here? And you heard all the objections. If you agree with them, you don't have to repeat them, but it's up to you.
Exactly. I do agree with the objections, but my main concern is that the home be built on the existing zoning setbacks, particularly the side setbacks and the front setback, and my concern with the height of the building, which is going to be quite a lot higher than any of the other buildings on the street. And that's really the sum of my objections. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Any question? I have to ask on the time. Any question? No? Okay, so we'll try again. Ian Anderson. Ian Anderson?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Okay, you're welcome. We have, yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Kelly, as well.
We
for
have
making
been
the
trying.
connection.
We have been trying a lot, but we heard from Malini. She was very eloquent, but we still have to hear from you if you have anything to add.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My apologies for the difficulty getting in, and thank you as well to staff to making the technology work for me. I'm coming in by my phone now. My name is Ian Anderson. My wife and I live at 3 Noel Avenue, which is in the public hearing notice area for the proposal. I'm president of Safe Bennington Residents Group and lived in the community for 25 years. We've submitted to you our detailed analysis of the proposed development and our reasoning for objecting. The community group and the neighbors and city planning and our counselor are all in full agreement that the variants required here are not minor and should be refused by the committee. The proposed development is being positioned as a replacement house that is not out of character for Bennington Heights, and that is simply not true. The current house, the one that's there today, is not a flat roof dwelling and is not 2.7 meters over the flat roof bylaw as is being proposed. The current house is not pulled forward by 2 meters. It is in line with all the other houses on this beautiful street. The current house is not 3 stories. Its own sales literature described it as 2.5 stories. And that so-called 3rd story that you've heard about is totally embedded into the roof. It's invisible from the street. The current house is nowhere near an FSI of 0.92 as is being proposed. In fact, the house visible from the street today has an FSI of about 0.6, with another 0.15 hidden in the roof. The current house is very much in line with the character of Bennington Heights. The proposed house, as we have noted, is anything but. Now, you've got a lot of comparisons with Bennington houses today in the architect's remarks. Here's the truth about what you've seen and heard. There are approximately 280 houses in Bennington Heights. The proponents is showing you 23 with a height comparable to what is being requested. Of those 23, a full 17 are completely irrelevant because they're peaked roofs. They have a different bylaw for height. And of the 6 remaining flat roof houses that they claim have 3 floors, those 6 remaining flat roof houses, only 3 have 3 floors. So let's look at those 3 houses that are the comparisons. One at 19 Evergreen is not 3 stories. It's a side split house that didn't need a variance for construction. The second, 422 Heath Street East, has an unusual grade issue, so the basement is technically classed as first floor. It's really a 2-story house. So now in all of Bennington Heights, we have found one example of a flat roof house with 3 stories. And how high is that house? By their own admission, it is only 8.8 meters high, more than a full meter below what is being requested. Moreover, none of these 6 flat roof houses being pulled forward by 2 meters, and none has an FSI close to 0.92. So what is the character of our community? Is it represented by a single flat roof house with 3 stories, or should we be looking at the other 279 houses? So here's what we see. We see this proposal as a combination of excessive variances that make the build fundamentally incompatible with the community. The request for the 0.92 FSI variance, which is 53% above the bylaw, is something we have never seen before in Bennington. They claim that this high FSI does not take into account the portion of the lot that is below the stable top of bank. That is irrelevant. The bylaw is clear that you can only consider the buildable portion of your lot when calculating FSI. This is the same bylaw that applies to 40 other Rabine lot houses in our community and thousands of other Rabine lot houses across Toronto. And curiously, you're not being shown any community comparables on FSI. So what does that tell you? So when you combine the very high FSI request plus the exceptional height variance for a flat roof, plus a variance needed for 3 stories, plus a sharply reduced front setback, plus a reduced side setback, and plus a house that wants to have a large second-story party deck, which greatly reduces the backyard privacy for the immediate neighbor, and you get a house that is really out of character for Bennington Heights. I won't go into the form letters that you've got for support, but I would urge you to pay attention to what the neighbors are saying. We've got a good reputation as a community group. We've been operating for nearly a decade. We have supported many developments, and we've consistently said that we and the entire Bennington Heights community supports community renewal. If you ask city planning, you will find we have a solid reputation for being honest and accurate in our analyses and very willing to be flexible. We ask that our honest and careful analysis of the proposal be taken seriously by the committee, and we hope that you will have this come to the same conclusion that we have, and the neighbors, and city planning, and Councillor Robinson, that this house is simply too big, and the variances are simply not minor. Thank you very much, committee members.
Thank you. Any question for this speaker? Okay, so Ms. Eisen, could you come back, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you heard all those concerns. Anything to add before we may move to the decision? Could you
I do, yes.
Could you address those concerns, please?
Of course. It sounds like there are 4 common issues that I'm hearing from the area residents, and these are the same talking points that were present in the letters of opposition as well. But before I address those, I'd like to share with the committee that the homeowners started reaching out to their neighbors in February of 2021 when they first took possession of their house. They attempted to make contact with the neighbors on a minimum of 4 different occasions, in some cases even more, including dropping off 8 drawing packages to the nearby homes. And nobody was willing to engage or have conversations about the proposal. My clients even offered reductions and negotiation by email to the adjacent neighbor at 42 who spoke today, and they were dismissed. I think that there's a danger in this system when conversations don't happen and inaccurate talking points are repeated throughout the neighborhood in a calculated opposition campaign that trickles all the way up to the councillor. I very much appreciate this forum, but we have been unable to explain our position until now. I don't believe that any of the authors of these letters or any of the speakers today are aware of the undevelopable nature of the lot and the lengths that our client went through to preserve these old and important trees and try and come up with a respectful proposal. And some of the points in these letters are completely misinformed, such as the repeated line about the front setbacks being in conformance or other houses being as of right. None of the area residents seem to appreciate what we've done here. And I don't think it's possible to propose something for this lot that's more respectful to the ravine, the neighborhood, and the trees. 2 big concerns I'm hearing over and over again seem to be the side setbacks and the trees. And I'd like to reiterate that the trees are the impetus for this entire design strategy, and they are actually the reason that the side setbacks are proposed to stay in their existing condition. You can't have both. And to me, the obvious choice is preserving these valuable trees as custodians of the ravine, as noted by some of the area residents, versus pulling the house another few inches back from the lot line, which would be immaterial to the neighbors. Regarding the height, I'd like to reiterate that this is not a precedent-setting proposal for the neighborhood, and that the massing accounts for the different shape in the roof. The massing allows for additional light to reach the street and the neighbors than what is there now due to the shallower slope. The proposed height is only 4 inches taller than the existing house, and if it would satisfy the committee, the clients are willing to reduce the ask to 9.81 to match the height of the existing house. The objecting neighbors evaluating this proposal erroneously assume that this house or other neighboring houses are within right, which is actually far from the case. I don't think this needs to be said, but I've heard a few accusatory comments from area residents, and I can confirm that everything in our submission is accurate and that we stand behind all of this information. I'll also add that the TRCA has already approved our concept development application and that we have RNFP and TPPR permit applications in for review after our collaborative process with these departments. This is a very unique application. I can't stress this enough. And I truly hope that the committee can evaluate this based on the constrained site that it is and the lengths that we've gone to be respectful of the site and the neighborhood.
Thank you. Any questions? First questions. Miss Sankar, Miss Satarodi? Miss Satarodi?
No, it's Mr. Chair, it's not a question. I just want to ask the applicant to because she mentioned that they would like to change the height to 9.81 meter, or it was just I mean, are they willing to change the variance number 14? Am I understanding correctly, or not? I would like to get clarification on it.
Yes, we are willing to change both the height variances if it would satisfy the committee to match the existing height of the existing home.
Mr.
Is
Chair,
it only the number 14?
Excuse me.
No, there's.
Excuse me. There is no condition here. You change this if the committee. You tell us what you want to change to which variance, and then we'll make a decision. Which variance you want to change and to how much? Are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay, which variance?
I'm just pulling up the, because there are two height variances, so I just want to make sure that the numbers are accurate. So the first one is number 4, which we can propose as 9.81.
You mean instead of 9.9, you want 9.81?
Yes, because that's the height of the existing home. So, and then the second one is 14, which would be reduced, I believe, to 9.78 under the old bylaw.
Okay. All right. So those are the changes that you're willing to propose. Number 4 to change to 9.81. And number 14 to 9.78. Any other question? No? Okay, then can I have a motion, please? Miss Atarodi, yeah? You had a motion?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair. I listened to the applicant carefully and also to all the opposition group. And I read the letter from TRCA and also the Transportation Service. Transportation Services had no objection, and the TRCA also say they have no objection because apparently architect was just work with them during the design, and they address all their concerns. So I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Number 1 is variance number 4. The proposed height is now 9.81 meter, and then variance number 14, the proposed building height is now 9.78 meter, and that is, and then and that's it. That's my motion. And also, I would like to again subject it to forestry and transportation report.
Do I have a second? There is no second. So can I have another motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. You know, I've listened to this really carefully as well. And, you know, I'm of the opinion, I've heard what the agent had said that, you know, they've reached out. They really tried since February to reach out to this association. And I'm not sure what happened, but I do know in the years of doing committee of adjustments that the Bennington Association, when there's something that's positive and they want to support it, they do come out to even support. and show that type of support. So I'm not sure what went wrong. And I do understand that this is an irregular lot, but, with a staff report stating for this to be refused, with the association and the testimonies that I've heard today around the character of the neighborhood, I am not convinced, even with the irregularity of this lot, that this actually meets the 4 tests. And because of that, I have to put a motion to refuse this application.
Thank you. Ms. Sankar to refuse. Second. You have a second. Mr. Bartolo, second. All in favor? Opposed? Ms. Satarod is opposing, and the application is refused. Okay, Ms. Eisen, your application is refused. Thank you. Application number 12, which is 17 Suncrest Drive, application number 12. And here we have Peter Higgins. Are you there?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Ready and waiting.
Please, your name and address.
My name is Peter James Higgins of Peter Higgins Architect Incorporated, 124 Merchant Street, Suite 204, Toronto M4S 2Z2.
Thank you. So we have here is a new dwelling, 4 variances, 5 letters of support, 2 letters of objection, but we don't have anything else. So can you please make a presentation for this application?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm representing Mr. Li Yang and his family, including his parents. It's a multi-generational family that have lived here for many years, and they would like to build their dream home. This property was in front of the committee adjustment a few months ago and was approved. However, when we applied for the building permit, a different zoning examiner than the one who had given us the zoning review came up with new zoning variances that we had to deal with. And that was very difficult for my clients. They're spending more time and money to now come back again. However, we're here today to try to win this for them. I'd just like to go over the 4 objectives, the 4 variances, please, if you could bring that up to the screen, because we have in fact eliminated 2 of them in addition to others that we didn't bring forward. Those are eliminated are number 2 and number 4. So we've removed 1 balcony and we've shifted the house and the platform so that there's no variance under number 2. I should note that number 1, we have a variance for the coverage of the platforms of 6.14, which is minor in of itself versus 5%, but we frankly cannot understand how the zoning examiner came to that number. We thought we are well within the allowable 5%. Nevertheless, we've left number 1 on and we've left number 3 on. My client hand-delivered 15 architectural packages. We received support from numbers 8, 14, 16, 18, and 19. Number 19 is immediately to the east, and numbers 14, 16, and 18 are immediately across the street looking at this property. Regarding the, I've had about 5 glasses of water and I'm still ready to cough, I'm sorry. The 3rd floor, or as we call it, it has been discussed in many of the previous applications. The house is correctly called a 2.5-story home, but there is a 3rd floor. There's a difference between those explanations. We have, if you can please bring to the front the revised drawings, which is a site plan and the two facades. We have no visible dormers of any sort on the front or the two sides of the roof. So the livable attic space, part of which comprises a Buddhist place of worship, which has to be in the highest part of any structure and above any living space. Thank you very much. That is for the family, and if you can now show the front and the rear facades, please. You can see here the front, other than a curved limestone pediment to the front entrance and above. If you go to the rear elevation, so that's the only place where there is a dormer, and that dormer faces over Sunnybrook Park. So if staff could please bring up the aerial photographs that we submitted. In other words, not only is the immediate neighbor to the east staying, if you can go to the aerial photographs, please, staff. Not only are we have quite a few letters of support, including immediate neighbors, with no response from the west neighbor, who didn't respond the last time either. So I'm going to say that that's pretty much tacit approval or staying back. If you can please go to the aerial photographs, it shows that the house backs, as many do, along the south side of Suncrest to Sunnybrook Park. So there are no rear neighbors whatsoever. And I would say, considering the fact that this project was approved a few months ago with exactly these same drawings, except we've now eliminated some of the dormers on the third floor and shifted the house more to the middle of the property. And it was simply the zoning examiner's mistake to not note the third floor. We have a house that can contain the attic space, the usable attic space, within the allowable height.
Mr. Higgins, please summarize.
I'm going to summarize now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we think that given that there is no staff report and that we have support, and for all the reasons I've noted, including we're maintaining lots of trees and greenery and side yard setbacks, I would like to think that this committee can see this as a handsome addition to the neighborhood that stays as quiet as possible vis-a-vis the fact that there is a livable attic space which is not visible.
Okay, thank you. So to recapitulate here, you're removing number 2 and number 4, and all you have is number 1 and 3. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we'll see. We'll have more questions when we bring the members. Here we have Jafar Hussein. Are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mr.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please tell us your name and your address, please.
My name is Jafar Hussein. I'm 36 Suncrest Drive.
Okay, so you heard the variances number 2 and 4 have been removed, and all we have left is 1 and 3. Do you still have any concern?
Yes, I do.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, committee members. 3-story houses, balconies, removal of most trees and greenery, short setbacks, excessive impervious coverage, 2-level basements, etc., if allowed, will change the open and leafy character of our community. And we are very concerned about that. Many in our community, and I understand you mentioned 2 letters of objection. I understand there should be at least 3. In our community are strongly opposed to such a change, as it won't fit into the community and potentially may impact the property values in our community. I appreciate that Mr. Higgins has just removed 2 of the variances, which we believe all 4 of them were not minor variances and should be refused by the committee. And our other big concern is, which is not listed here as a variance by the city, and that is a two-story, two-level basement, which is at least 20 feet deep. As you are probably aware, experts have raised concerns regarding so-called iceberg homes, and the city is currently conducting a review on the impact of iceberg homes in Toronto. Councillor Day Robinson is leading the charge in that. Such homes are thought to have serious impacts on the local environment and neighboring properties. These impacts can include soil permeability, erosion, added stress to stormwater management infrastructure, flooding, collapsing neighboring foundations, and shifting ground levels, as well as injury and removal of mature trees. And taking that into consideration, and the fact that it's currently being reviewed, being conducted by the city, we believe that this application should not be approved until that review by the city is completed, and we know how to handle deep basements. I know that you have received several form letters of support. The owner has tried to reach out to neighbors but did not offer any substantial changes to address their concerns. And that's why, as a community, we are opposing this request. I therefore respectfully request that this application be denied and the applicant directed to consult with our community before submitting a new application.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Any question for this speaker? Just to let you know, we don't deal with the trees here and we don't deal with the property values here. We have two variances in front of us, and if they didn't have these two variances, they wouldn't be in front of us. So all those things are important, but is not in front of us. We don't deal with them. All we deal with the variances. So let's see what the other speaker is saying. Dr. Svi Gallant, can you please come up?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Could you please state your name and
Okay,
address?
very good. Yes, my name is Dr. Tzvi Gallant, and I live in 21 Sunkist, M3C 2L1. This is not at all any personal issue with Mr. Young Lee, which is a good friend of mine, but it's a concern of, for me, the first thing is 3 stores. I was in front of that committee approximately 3 years ago, rejecting the 3 stores suggested by 2 of 5 bridle paths, and the committee appropriately rejected that variant. In addition, a month ago, I was in front of you rejecting the same thing from 206 bridle path, and again, the committee appropriately rejected the 3-story application. I'm doing the same thing here. This is, yes, it's can called half, it can call a room in the attic, it can call whatever, but it's a 3-story. It opens a door to additional. This neighborhood is a wonderful neighborhood. The houses are being built are bigger and bigger and bigger at the expense of green area, and that's a big concern for me. I support Jafar about the depth of the basement, but that's, again, it's not in front of you, but that's just to extend my objection. But again, I'm definitely against any opening to 3rd floor or 3rd floor hinting that it's a 3rd floor, because the next one will be 4th floor and so on and so on. A workplace, yes, of course, we have many people worship different kind of cultures in our beautiful Toronto, and they're all managing to do it on a basement, on a 1 floor, on a 2 floor, and so on, or in a condominium floor. So that's not, it should not be considered as a really argument. So here, I'm definitely rejecting the 3 floors, the room in the attic, as they called it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any question for the speaker? Okay, Mr. Higgins, you heard the 2 speakers here. Hello, are you still there?
I did, Mr.
Okay.
did, Mr. Chairman.
Can you
Thank you.
please structure your response to 5 minutes like everybody else?
Yes, I certainly can and will. Thank you for the opportunity to rebut. Regarding iceberg houses, my comment is if Councillor Jay Robinson is leading the charge, as Mr. Hussein suggested, it's interesting that she's not objecting to this proposal, and she's staying silent. Mr. Hussein, to my knowledge, and he could rebut if he wanted to, gave my client, the owner of this property, his verbal support at the prior Committee of Adjustment application. Affecting property values, this neighborhood, and not fitting in, this neighborhood is in transition slowly but surely, and new houses are being built, and some of them are, of course, much larger than the bungalows and split levels and two-story modest homes that were built back in the 50s and 60s. That is the way the world is going. We intentionally removed what had been a decorative dormer from the front of the house, decorative only, and 2 dormers from the sides of the house, as well as 2 at the rear, to simply concentrate the area where the dormers would be at the rear of the house only, central and overlooking the park, as I mentioned before. This 3rd floor is not visible. This 3rd floor falls within the allowable height. Regarding other issues such as trees and setbacks, we don't have setback variances anymore. We removed the one that was remaining. We have lots of green space in changing one of the variances, removing it. We were able to maintain 2 trees along the east side of the property that otherwise might have come down. We're not removing any trees that are of issue to forestry whatsoever. We're removing 2 small trees. And we think that this is going to be a beautiful addition to the neighborhood. Regarding, and I'm just going to speak to it because it was brought up, the iceberg and the concern about groundwater and geotechnical issues. We have had a geotechnical study done both for soil stability as well as radon gas, and we have no issues with groundwater whatsoever. The area in question only takes up about 19% of the basement, and it's for a double height space for children throwing, such as rhythmic gymnastics, high hoops, whack a tennis ball or squash ball around. It is only a small portion of the basement, as is noted on the plans. So there's no planning objection. There's no councillor objection. The living space in the attic is not visible. We're within the allowable height. Setbacks, I would hope that this committee would see that we are trying to build a beautiful home that looks like a 2-story house from the front, but happens to have a portion of the attic as a usable space. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions first? Any question to Mr. Bartolo?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we just confirm which of the 4 variances was eliminated, please?
Number 2 and 4.
Perfect. Thank you.
All he has is 2 variances left, 1 and 3. Any other question? Okay, then can I, Miss Atarodi, question?
Just a question about, do we have this, does this application have any forestry report attached?
What's your question? Any staff report?
Does this application have any forestry report?
I don't have any, no. My records show the variances, 5 letters of support, 2 letters of objection, that's it. There is no forestry and no other condition.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have a motion then? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move to approve this application with the changes the applicant made, which was to remove variants 2 and 4. There aren't any further items. So that's it. That's right. Any conditions? Thank you.
Thank you. Second. Ms. Tarodi, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Unanimously approved, and there is no conditions for the two variances. We have number 13, which is 16 Briarfield Drive, application number 13. And here we have Nadine Ifran. Nadine Irfan, is that there?
Mr. Chair, yes, this is Nadeem Irfan.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
My name is Nadeem Irfan, NIA Architects Inc., 10 Milner Business Court, Suite 710, Scarborough, Ontario, M1B3C6.
Thank you. So we have here, this is a new dwelling, 4 variances. Staff report, just a condition to build per east and west elevation drawing. Forestry condition number 3, and we have 8 letters of support and 2 letters of objection. But we need the presentation because we have another speaker here online. So please make a 5-minute presentation maximum and tell us the merit of the application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 4 variances before the committee members for consideration. Lot coverage, we're requesting 30.92, and we have 20, the permitted is 25%. Last year, we got an approval right across this property, number 15 Briarfield, and the committee considered to approve it for 32%. So this is slightly less. We have submitted a comparable analysis to the committee members for review. Typically 32% is the norm in this area, so we are a little bit lower than that. The second variance is 10.4. That's a little bit of height we're asking, whereas permitted is 10. There are precedents in the area. Community planning has reviewed the application. I have no concerns. The variance number 3 is for the wall height, which is on the side wall, just the window area. Again, community planning has reviewed it, and they have no concern. And they're asking or requesting the committee, if committee choose to approve it, the approval can be tied to the side elevations. So we will not be increasing the overall height, just that where the windows are. So we believe the variances are very small. There are 2 support letters from the immediate neighbors. There are total 8 support letters we have submitted to the committee. We have also read the concerns from the immediate neighbor at the back. They have a 2-story dwelling recently built. One of the variants for their approval was, I believe, was the height. Their concern is the sunlight and privacy matters. We have done a sun study and submitted to the, as a supporting material. And that sun study demonstrated that we are not going to block their sunlight or sunshine. Their concern is on the rear yard deck, which is a very, very small, and it will not be used as to sit. It's just a kind of a landing to go to the grade level from the main floor. So we trust these variances and the concerns are very, very minor, and would look forward to receiving approval from the committee. Thank you. Sir. I may answer if members have any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll bring you back after we have another speaker. We have here Yu Jiang Zhu. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, we do not have anybody on the call by that name or by the phone number registered for this person.
Okay, so, all right, so members, what you heard is what you heard. So any question? If no question, then we need a motion. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application, subjected to forestry and subjected to the city staff condition that the side exterior main wall height to be developed substantially in accordance with the west and east side elevation drawing attached to this report. And that's my motion.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Your application is unanimously approved, subject to the condition of forestry and the condition of the staff to build per west and east elevation drawing, okay? And last one for this morning is number 14, which is 19 York Downs Drive, application number 14. And here we have Richard Wengel. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Just repeat your name, please, and address for the records here.
Yes, Richard Wengel, Architect, Inc., 102 Avenue Road, Toronto.
Okay, we have, this is a two-story addition, and to the front, an attached garage on the ground floor. We have one variance only. Staff report was received for only information. TRCA, no objection, and permit not required. Forestry condition 2 and 5, and one letter of support. Members, do we need a presentation here? Yes, no, maybe? Yes? Ms. Satar, okay. Could you please give us a short presentation with a maximum of 5 minutes to tell us the merit of your application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we could just bring up our presentation material and turn to page 2. And I'll just begin. This is a house we actually designed over 20 years ago for a family that's now grown, but now they have grandchildren coming to visit, and they are actually having their parents and in-laws come to stay with them. So the main purpose for this house was to actually create an accessible home for the in-laws to come and visit and live for short durations. Because it's on TRCA land, we didn't want to go to the back to build the extension, so we worked towards the front. There is a positive staff report, and it reflects some of the comments of similar houses in the area. So to the left of the page, which is west, is number 21. We had actually designed that house a few years ago and received a similar approval in terms of the length of the house and the depth as well. And we're just basically using that same format. The garage is located in the front. There's a few trees that we do have to remove, but there are over 71 trees on the front of this lot, and behind us is all TRCA land, which we obviously can't build back there, and we don't want to touch the beautiful trees. So we're essentially removing 4 Scott pines where the garage is. Again, it's surrounded by trees. You can't really see through it. And one other tree just to create an accessible ramp for the parents to incline up. If we just go, you can just see in green is the existing house. The gray is the addition to the front. And again, it matches, sort of mimics number 21 to the west. The next page, page number 3, just shows the existing house. It's done in a prairie style, and the white and gray is the additions that we're proposing. Just see the different views. And then the next page will just show a 3D rendering of the house, how we're just keeping the same style, blending in and building the garage into a forecourt in an L shape. And then the last page, page number 5, is just showing the site plan. And here you can start to see all the trees that are involved in the site that we have to protect, and especially at the back because it's TRCA land, we can't build back there. So we're trying to nestle this as best we can in line with the house and make it as unobtrusive as possible. And with the mature landscaping from the street, it's not really well seen from the street, which is nice, and it's quite far back. We believe it passes the 4 tests and will be a good addition for the neighborhood, and certainly will service the family well for many years to come now that multiple generations are actually using the home.
Thank you. Any question? No question? Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move to approve this. It is minor. It does meet all the 4 tests, and I'll make it also subject to urban forestry. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Bartolo, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And your application is approved and condition only forestry. Okay, so we can announce maybe we're in session for the morning. It's at 1:30, but I don't think
We can't hear you, Mr. Chair.
No, I was talking to the
can't hear you.
staff here. I was talking to the staff so they can announce the break. So we'll resume. What do we need? Half an hour? Half an hour about? Okay, so we'll resume at 1:45. Okay, so we'll resume our sessions at 1:45.